Hi, everybody. Welcome into a continuing edition of the GASOcast at GASO Lyndon and at iFilm Hoopers, taking over from Blue, Mass, and Tim. Continuing on with our coverage around the state. This first weekend, really easy for guys to get tired legs out there. You're playing 5 or 6 games in 3 days, but hey, we're tired too. We've been to 3 cities watching basketball in the past 3 or 4 days. All over the place. Was in Houston, was in Austin, went up to Frisco on Saturday. I know you were in San Antonio this week, Mike.
San Antonio to Houston, back up to Dallas, back down to San Antonio tomorrow. It's a grind. But just like, players would rather play games, we'd rather be out watching games than being in the office or doing that. So fun time, looking to keep it going.
For sure. Just a quick plug real quick. Make sure that you subscribe to our newsletter. We have a new issue coming out every single week. And if you subscribe before January 1st of the turn of the year, you get locked into that low price of $2 per month. That's 50 cents an issue. Subscribe, you get updated rankings, you get storylines, all kinds of good stuff in there. So make sure you do that. Just a quick thought on rankings, too. I mean, it's crazy trying to compile these because you've got teams that, would beat the number 5 team but lose to the number 15. We're trying to put all those guys into the slot that fits them best talent-wise. So it's going to be a mess, but it's an awesome mess to have because you got so many good basketball teams playing in this state at all classifications.
It's a fun time for sure. And following up on some more news, we'll officially be moving our GASOcast to a new YouTube channel. So for those that, want their Texas high school basketball news, you'll have one YouTube channel there that we'll send out the link here very shortly. So Exciting time, a lot of content. So let's jump on in, Lyndon.
Yeah, starting off with our first segment, as always, GASO Gossip. I mean, it's an easy thing to gossip about when you hear somebody drops a 50 ball, isn't it?
Yeah, so, you scrolling through your timeline, I think earlier this week, Matthew Soto, 50 points in a win versus San Antonio Memorial. I mean, I don't care. 50 points is 50 points. I don't care if you was playing toddlers. I don't care who it is. Put the ball into the basket a lot. Also just crossed the 2,000 point threshold. So shout out to Matthew Soto. I'm looking to get down to San Antonio to catch a game because that's always big fun for me when I get to film that kid. So shout out to him. Continuing on an early big time summer or high school year where he's looking to, at this point, lead the city in scoring.
Yeah, and another gossip segment, just talking about some more San Antonio area, and that's Braden Baum, Charlie Georgelos, Hodge winning the Harlandale tournament down there. I mean, looking every bit like the contender that can make it back down to the Alamo Dome in March again. So
I think it looked like Braden was the MVP, and then Dakari all tournament team, which tells you that what injury. He started
right.
Really
he's back. Yeah,
fire on full cylinder. So that's good for that team early on.
All right. So moving on, our MVP of the weekend. Go ahead, Tim, and tell us who your best player or players were this weekend.
Yeah, so I came away with MVP. It's just who left the biggest impression from me. And down at Pasadena, that Texas Invitational. By the way, great hospitality. Thank you to that staff for having us.
For sure.
Just loved my experience there. But that backcourt at Pearland Dawson of Jaden Miller and Kendrick Bailey wowed me. They were just able to get anywhere they wanted on the court at all times. They both hit the 3 ball. They both got into the lane, got the other team in foul trouble. Just played perfectly off of each other. One goes out, the other takes the lead guard right away. Just the perfect recipe for success for that Pearland backcourt that has a lot of other pieces to really do some damage this season. So those two 2023 guards are definitely my MVPs for the weekend. Just left a big impression on me.
Yeah, and saw a lot of good basketball down in Pasadena this weekend. But for me, my MVPs, I mean, if you saw this game, it would be impossible for anybody to pick otherwise because Doryan Onwuchekwa and Isaac Williams, I mean, it's going to be a really tough task for anybody. I don't care what classification they're in to knock off Faith Family with the way these guys are playing. Doryan's 6'8", 6'9". He's standing out there. He's 3 for 3 from 3 in the first quarter. Isaac getting wherever he wants. He's hanging and finishing in the lane. They scored 34 points in the first quarter against Plano. Ended up winning 80-71, I think the final was. But those two guys were just hooping at a different level than anybody else I saw this weekend. So they're my MVPs for me. All right, moving on to some 2023s that we liked. Peyton Whittington, Barbers Hill, had a lot of people talking about him this weekend.
Yeah, I covered Barbers Hill versus Brennan. That was the matchup I was looking most forward to seeing when we saw what pool play was at the Texas Invitational. And he showed out, I think 28 or 29 points in that game. But the shots he was hitting, like they were important shots throughout the game. Brennan had some momentum, kind of looked like they were going to pull away. Then all of a sudden, Peyton started hitting these daggers over and over again, and won finishes. Anytime Brennan kind of got more momentum, kept him in the game. Just came out of nowhere because I wasn't too familiar with the kid's game, and I apologize for that. But he put me on. So he's definitely a 2023 to look out for. That Barbers Hill team's fun.
Yeah, they are. My two 2023s that I saw actually matched up against each other, and that's Damondre McKnight from McKinney Boyd against Adrian Banks of Lewisville, playing in the Silver championship game at Comerica Center on Saturday. And I've been telling college coaches all summer long, go get a look at Damondre McKnight. He's that kind of brawny lead guard who makes shots, who gets to the free throw line, and he was doing that. He went for 20 for Boyd as they pulled away a 1 second or a 1 point victory there at the very end against Lewisville. But Adrian Banks is that kind of same mold, somebody who can take the hit, extend, and finish through contact on the drive, can knock down some shots from the outside as well. Both of those guys went for 20, high-level players, so they deserve more eyes on them. Moving on to 2024s that we saw, we both talked about this kid. For me, Kamoni Sieber, North Crowley. North Crowley won the tournament down there. Props to them going to Pasadena and coming away with the championship. But Kamoni Sieber's just been the straw that stirs the drink for them so far this year in terms of somebody who can go into the paint and make something happen, can knock down that shot from the outside. Really kind of a leader by example for them on the floor. And I've liked what I've seen. Who's some 2024s for you, Timmins?
Yeah, Jae'Coby Osborne from Fort Bend Elkins really had it going. The three ball was there in the game I filmed versus Pearland Dawson. I'm a little backed up on game recaps, but that's going to be one on the YouTube channel. But his blend of hitting the three ball, the physicality inside rebounding and finishing through contact, he just had it all going, almost at 30 points in that Pearland Dawson game versus Pearland Dawson, and was one of the main reasons why they kind of stayed around in that game, because for a while it kind of looked grim for him because, like we talked about before, that Dawson backcourt was really going. And then the other 24 I want to talk about was Gary Brown from Pasadena Memorial. It's no secret, if you're playing against Pasadena Memorial, you're probably zoning because there's a stud named Robert Miller in the paint that you have some problems with. So Gary continued to hit threes and very confidently, because you're working the ball around the perimeter, looking for the best shot, and he was knocking down timely shots. When you would kick it down to Robert Miller to kick it back out, he was burying threes at a consistent pace, so it really caught my eye.
Yeah. So moving on, the next gen guys, the 25s and 26s that were making noise this weekend. I mean, an easy one to talk about. We talked about the game that you were at with Barbers Hill Brennan, Donovan Chris and his performance from behind the stripe.
Yeah, 7 threes. I mean, what else you want to talk about as a 2026? He's already acclimated to the varsity level. He's a gamer at this point, so you can trust the 2026 to knock down baskets for you at a high clip, especially when Brennan's going up and down, playing fast. Yeah, he's ready for this moment, and he showed it.
Yeah. And for me, Carter Chisholm was the guy in the early game when they played against Forney. Just when you're a freshman and it's so early in the year, it's really easy for freshmen to not pass the eye test of like, oh, that's a freshman out there. You cannot tell at all with this kid, because he's out there shooting the ball with confidence. He had 15 points in a pretty impressive all-around display. Was out there getting to the rim. Was a workhorse on the defensive end. I was really impressed with what I saw for him, because he's one of those kids where he could be a junior for all just by watching the game. But as a ninth grader, he's very impressive and mature as a prospect.
And then my last one, Bryson Wheatfall, 2025 of Summer Creek. Summer Creek has scores all over the place, but this physical guy does a lot of the dirty work. I saw him catch in the mid post, kind of occupy that space, plays defense, just kind of that physical presence for a Summer Creek that can really score it and run up the score on you. He's perfect for what they got going on. Now we'll transfer to the stock rises, a little rapid fire segment. Go ahead and start us off, Lyndon.
Yeah, Jaden Jefferson for Forney. Saw him be really impressive at the Mansfield Fall GASO Classic. He's just one of those guys who gets things done. He's bouncy. He's all over the place. He can hit shots. But most importantly, whenever he gets that first step on you as a defender, it's going to be 2 points or he's going to the free throw line because he's that physical guard who seeks out contact and tries to finish.
Robert Jackson, 2023, San Antonio Brennan. He's been playing in big games. Brennan's had a pretty tough opening schedule, but he just continues to get it done. The senior on that team hits the mid-range, diving down the lane, big-time dunks, defensive presence, just everything you want in the 2023 unsigned. He needs to be somebody needs to come get him immediately, man.
Yeah, he does. Another one for me, Ashton Toney, Lewisville Hebron, knocked off a Atascocita. And, they don't have Alex Cotton. That was a really impressive win for Hebron to pick up at the Pasadena tournament. But Ashton Toney, he comes into the game in the fourth quarter, goes on a 5-0 run by himself, and that ends up being the difference in the game. I mean, just one of those spark plug energy kids who can hit shots, makes the extra pass, plays the Hebron way where they're really dogged on the defensive end, but really unselfish on offense. So I was impressed with what I saw from him as a 2025.
And then I'll finish with Jaden Hughes, Fort Bend Hightower, built like a pit bull, frame, everything, plays both ends, hits the mid-range, just kind of that toughness factor that you want at Fort Bend Hightower with the skill involved, can get coast to coast, guards the best defender, just kind of brings just what that Fort Bend Hightower toughness embodies. And he's just been a guy that I like since last year, and he's continued to take it to another level.
Yep, that's going to do it for this edition of the GASOcast. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you follow us on social media at TechSoupGaso and then at all of our personal Twitters. And of course, like Michael said, the GASOcast YouTube channel starting up where this will be, and a lot of other great stuff will be throughout the year. Make sure you subscribe to the newsletter to stay up with the rankings, all that good stuff. But then again, thanks for tuning in. We will see you next time.